Watkins. This is Randy Shelley, and today we're going to talk about how to fund your deals. So before we get into that, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit, Randy, about just how you got started in real estate and just how you built up to what you're doing now, which you've got a lot of things going on. So I just wanted to just talk a little bit about just how you did that, just getting started and getting to where you're at right now.
Started back in 2008. I'm a reformed civil engineer. I did that for 2 years out of college. I found out that that's not really what I enjoyed or wanted to do. I had read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I wanted to go into real estate. So got laid off my civil engineering job. Then I started wholesaling properties, which is just you find them, you put them under contract, you just flip the contract to another investor. From that, I started selling to some rehabbers that I knew in town, and I saw what they were doing. I had lined up some private money during that time, and then we started doing rehabbing, where we were just buying, fixing and flipping. And then that kind of led into multiple businesses that over the years. In 2015, we started a property management company, First Property Management. We're up to about 900 doors now. And then in, I think it was 4 years ago, is when I started the lending business. So at our peak from the flipping business, we had 36 houses going at one time. I kind of got burnt out dealing with contractors and wanted to start scaling back. So the lending company kind of came into business from wanting to scale back from the rehabbing.
Yeah. So so that way you're able to to not be so actively involved. You got more passive income with the lending companies. That makes a lot of sense. So and obviously you've got a lot of things going on now, and you started out like a lot of us did, reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was my the way I got started, and plus a lot more real estate education besides that. But it's really, I see a lot of investors say they get started with that book. It's very interesting. We started almost the same time. You're a little bit before me. We ended up partnering on quite a few wholesale deals for a few years, and I noticed you really got into a lot of different areas of real estate. But what would you say like to people that are new, like right now, or maybe either maybe a year or two into it? Like what do you think would be something that you would just suggest that would help them just kind of get the ball rolling in terms of like just their resources and really just the money part too, just having the resources to close on deals and to make it happen?
If they don't have any money at all, I would push them, and they're wanting to go into real estate, I would probably push them towards the wholesaling way, because it's less risky than rehabbing. You don't have to have as much capital and resources to do it. You can make more money by rehabbing and flipping, but if they're brand new with no money, I would say probably go the wholesaling route. If they have some money, and I would probably, they can go the rehabbing route if they got good contractors or kind of have a good background in that area. They could do pretty well at that. It's just so when I got started, it was incredibly easy to find deals. It was hard to find anybody that either had any money or buyers.
True.
Now it's flip-flopped, 100%.
Very different.
In a sense that you are going to have so much competition on good deals, and you got to pull the trigger extremely fast. Typically with cash or hard money, if you're even wanting to even find a deal right now in this market.
Yeah, that's very true. I've had to pivot with my own marketing and stuff. That I've been doing the past year, and now I'm able to pull in deals in different ways, and I got one under contract a couple of days ago. It's a really good flip. So yeah, I mean that's good, and I think that's good for people to know that, so they can I guess get started the right way. Because if you don't really get started the right way, you can just be kind of spinning your wheels and get burned out, and quit before you even get to the point to where you want to. But yeah, I think that's good. I really think that the money aspect. I mean, if I could go back and tell myself before like 11 years ago when I started, I would say, hey Eddie, go raise money quicker, and hang on to a lot of those deals that you're wholesaling to everyone else your first several years, you know, because I know that some of the stuff that we did, man, it was like, I mean, we got stuff at like, some of it at 1970 pricing. It was just insane.
There are so many deals I look back on, especially in Highland Park right now, that I sold so cheap.
Yeah.
But you got to make a living too, you know, that there is always the side of, you know, if you try to hold on to everything, you got enough, you got to eat, you got enough, you got to keep active in that. So, you know, since I've started, we've bought and wholesaled or rehabbed over 500 houses in Chattanooga.
That's awesome.
Which a lot of the times we were just trying to, the more you could turn in a given year, the higher income you make, and it was great. And the best part about that is I kept a lot of rentals over the years too. So there's two sides of that. So if you're making really good money, try to keep more, because the keeping the rentals is what's going to make you wealthy. It's not gonna make you a lot of money over time, but it will make you wealthy over the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that sounds good. You know, and just if you don't mind, just touch base on the property management piece. I know because that's really a big part of what you did. You set that up a few years ago, and I mean now you're managing what, 900 doors.
We are, but I'm 100% passive in that company.
Yeah.
I hate property management. That's why at the time when we set it up, I could not find a decent property management company in town to do what I wanted them to. So me and another guy, Brian Leverage, and Andrea Hardaway started that company, and it's been good. It's done extremely well. We grew extremely fast for the first, especially the first 3 years. We doubled every single year in the amount of units that we had under management. But that is, whenever you have rental properties, that's going to be key in keeping them for the long run, is having good management. So
yeah, that's absolutely. I mean, the property management is key. So that's good. I mean, that's just one more aspect that you have and that you got experience in terms of just like your real estate background. So let's talk a little bit more about, or just go into the money in detail, because it's really the focus of today. So tell us about your company, your lending company, and just go over the details of, and really partly like, well, first of all, how did you get into that? Like, why did you? What was the reason you set it up? And then just kind of go over some of the details of like when someone comes to you for a deal, what do they do? How do they get funded?
So, like I said, 4 years ago is when I started Chattanooga Funding. It's a hard money lending company. The why I did it is because I wanted to start scaling back our rehabbing business, and I had raised quite a bit of money for that business, and I was trying to figure out a place to deploy that capital when I first started. So essentially, I started Chattanooga Funding, and we started funding other people's rehabs. What we look at for that, well, let's go back to the most important thing in rehabbing my highest cost in my whole business, if I still look at it, is opportunity cost. By far, that is the number one cost in my business, period. Because when you see an amazing deal and you don't have the money to buy it at that time, that is your highest cost, I think, that comes along in real estate. So for most investors, if that you can find a good deal, you can typically put it under contract, but can you fund it in the amount of time that it needs to be funded? And I can give you multiple examples of why that cost is the highest cost. One of our best deals that we've done in real estate since we started was a foreclosure that we bought. It was a warehouse over here off of Amnicola that we had to cut. We might have had a week to raise $1 million, and we did it. We came up with $1 million to purchase it. And that one deal, now I didn't know it was as good a deal when I bought it as when we sold it, but That one deal we bought for $1 million. We didn't touch it. We had a tenant in there, rented for $14,000 a month for a few months, but they were going to move out. We put it on the market for sale and for lease at the same time, and we sold that for $1.9 million. Not even 6 months later.
That's awesome. Yeah, and if you hadn't had that money, then what would have happened?
Opportunity cost.
Yeah,
is your highest cost in real estate.
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. And so people that may not be familiar with that term, just briefly describe or just explain what that means.
Essentially, it's just having the opportunity to buy whatever you want to buy
Yeah.
when you need
Yeah.
the money to do
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, so even though you're paying a higher interest with private money or hard money, if you don't have that money and you lose a deal, you're not making any money, versus if you have the hard money in place or even have a deal partner or somebody that can help you fund it, that's how you make money. So it's not even necessarily the cost of the money, it's really the opportunity, and it's how much you could potentially make from that deal. So that's having the right investor mindset. So I'm glad you brought that up. So do you want to give us any more details about just your lending company, or like just maybe some of your terms, or
Went down the
a few of those
opportunity
things?
cost route, but as far as with that, the lending company, we're expensive. We're going to be at 5 points and 15% on everything that we lend out. We got $3 million out on the streets right now. We try to keep that moving and turning constantly, but we always have opportunity for good deals as they come along. Typically, right now we're funding almost, I would say 90% of our, probably 85% of our business is just rehabs, and then the other percentage is new constructions that we're doing right now. The new construction business is doing extremely well. And they mainly come to us because we're easier than the banks. We can fund quicker than the banks ever could. We don't require a lot of stuff that the banks are going to require, like appraisal. I'm going to do my own. I'm typically the underwriting portion of our company, so I'm looking at comps. I'm looking at does that make sense based on my experience of flipping 500 houses in the last 13 years in Chattanooga. And I'm going to be the underwriting side of that. We typically are not going to look at the borrower as a sense of, I just want to make sure they're financially stable, but it's mainly the collateral that we look at mostly. I do want to know that the borrower has some experience. I hate lending to new rehabbers. I've got burned doing that. But other than that, I mean, if somebody is competent and they're well capitalized, in most cases, we're going to go off the Mayo formula. So maximum allowable offer is pretty much whatever the ARV is. Take off multiply it by 0.7 or 70% of that. And that's what we'll loan up to, because I still want the rehabber or builder to make good money. Typically with that, the builder or rehabber is usually making about a 20% profit, which is great for them. And I always want the builder or rehabber to be making money too, or I don't want to fund the deal. So it's kind of a win-win. But we are a little bit higher, actually a lot higher than the banks, in the sense that we're 5 points and 15%. We're rolling the 5 points into the loan, so you're not paying that up front. And we would allow, I say in most cases, these are going to be the numbers, but let's say somebody is buying a house for $70,000. They need to put $30,000 into it, so they're going to be into $100,000. We will write up the loan. We'll fund it 100%. We'll write up the loan for 105. That's the 5 points, and typically that house is going to be worth about 150, and that's like the bread and butter. We do that over and over and over again.
Yeah, and see that's the good thing too. I mean, like when you're able to fund just pretty much 100% of the deal. In a lot of cases, there's exceptions, but just being able to have everything funded. I mean, just for the rehabber. I mean, that's something that most lenders don't do. So that's one big positive aspect about what you do is you're able to fund typically the 70% of the ARV, or that's your all-in cost, so that makes it easier on the rehabber to have less money into the deal, especially even putting the points into the loan. That's another big positive. And I will say, just I've known Randy for a long time, and he's probably the easiest person to work with. So that's another thing that that you get just working with you on your funding is because you've got a lot of experience, plus I mean you're a cool guy, you're easy to talk to, and you're gonna be able to to make it happen. So definitely, I mean I think that's some really positive things you got going on there. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Can we see the questions here? Does anybody have any questions on what we're talking about? Any questions for Randy?
Doesn't look like anybody has.
Yeah, I don't see any. So we can go ahead and switch it up. So we'll have Keith and Grace switch places with us here, and they'll talk about.
If you want to get in contact with me, you can just call me 423-665-5555.
There you go. That's
All right.
it.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate it.